British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell, who is now in prison, has become friends with a fellow inmate who was jailed in 2012, having been convicted of orchestrating the beating deaths of her millionaire husband and mother-in-law. Narcy Novack, 65, of Fort Lauderdale, was sentenced to life in jail at FCI Tallahassee, a low-security prison in Florida. But as the Daily Mirror reports, the pair's similar age, a shared love of the high life, and of course their long sentences means double murderer Novack appears to have formed a bond with convicted teenage sex trafficker Maxwell. Maxwell, who is serving 20 years, may well have found some comfort in bonding with her fellow inmate in Novack, who managed to have her husband and mother-in-law killed. Ghislaine Maxwell is best friends with infamous double killer Narcy Novack in low-security Florida prison and spend hours talking, laughing and joking. Narcy Novack, 65, of Fort Lauderdale, was sentenced to life in jail at FCI Tallahassee, a low-security prison in Florida. Once inside, Ghislaine gravitated towards Narcy. Because of her length of time inside and the brutality of her crime, she is treated like a female Don, one source told the Mirror. Ghislaine will have a modicum of protection through her friendship, but given their ages and millionaire backgrounds, they were always destined to get on well. Together, they spend hours talking, laughing, and joking. The Tallahassee jail is designated a low-security prison, which means the inmates are able to take on various courses and even complete work placements. But it can sound more like a holiday camp, with inmates encouraged to take on gardening, baking, cooking, and housekeeping, yoga, pilates, weights, softball, and frisbee. Maxwell is at FCI Tallahassee, pictured, where she will serve out her 20-year sentence. It is only a few hours from Epstein's Palm Beach mansion, where she helped him sexually abuse young girls. An interior photo of the Federal Correctional Institution Tallahassee, where the pair now are. Maxwell is required to wear khaki clothes at FCI Tallahassee, and she will be woken up at 5 a.m. every day for breakfast at 6 a.m. Maxwell, who once lived a lavish lifestyle and counted Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton among her friends, earns the paltry sum of between 15 to 27 cents an hour at FCI Tallahassee. Prison consultants said that Maxwell will clean toilets, bathrooms, or wash dishes before being assigned a long-term job like managing payroll or reading water meters. Both Maxwell and Novack's day begin at 5 a.m. when the lights come on. Breakfast is served at 6 a.m. and lunch at 10:30 a.m. The early time is to enable the kitchen to feed the whole population. Finally, after 5 days of deliberations, the jury found her guilty on 5 of the 6 charges against her, including one for luring underage girls to engage in sex acts with Epstein. During the sentencing, Maxwell said she wanted to acknowledge the pain of her victims, but stopped short of an apology. She also imposed a fine of $750,000, noting Maxwell had received a $10 million bequest from Epstein after his death. Maxwell worked with Epstein to select young victims who were vulnerable and played a pivotal role in facilitating sexual abuse, Judge Nathan said, making it clear the case called for a very significant sentence that sent an unmistakable message that such crimes would be punished. Prior to her sentencing, Maxwell made a public statement expressing remorse for her actions. "I realize I have been convicted of assisting Jeffrey Epstein to commit these crimes," she said. "My association with Epstein will permanently stain me. It is the biggest regret of my life that I ever met him." She added that Epstein fooled all of those in his orbit and claimed she, herself, was a victim of his. Epstein and Maxwell are pictured in an undated photo. He killed himself in jail in August 2019, while Maxwell was jailed for 20 years for child sex trafficking in June. She had also written in a memo prior to the sentencing that a troubled childhood made her vulnerable to commit such heinous acts after her father mysteriously died in 1991. Over 3 weeks, the jury heard how Maxwell served up underage girls for Epstein and relished her role as the lady of the house at his mansion in Palm Beach, Florida. Between 1994 and 2004, lawyers argued Maxwell was Epstein's right hand and paid $200 for sexualized massages or even took part in the abuse. The victims, some as young as 14, were given a similar amount of money if they brought friends to Epstein, the jury was told. Prior to her sentencing in June, Maxwell made a public statement expressing remorse for her actions. Her new pal, Narcy Novack, was convicted of hiring hit men who carried out the 2009 beating deaths of Ben Novack Jr. in New York and Bernice Novack in Florida. Ben Novack, 53, was the son of the man who built the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami Beach, a celebrity hangout in the 1950s and 1960s that appeared in the movies Scarface and Goldfinger. He was beaten to death with dumbbells in July 2009 in his bed at a hotel in Rye Brook, New York, where his travel company was managing an Amway convention. Cruel and sadistic Narcy Novack, who offered killers a pillow to muffle her hotel tycoon husband's screams, was jailed for life for plotting the deaths of him and his mother. A thug who admitted carrying out the killing testified that Novack ordered her husband's eyes sliced with a knife and offered a pillow to muffle his screams. 3 months earlier, Novack's 86-year-old mother, Bernice, was killed in Fort Lauderdale by being clobbered in the teeth and head with a plumber's wrench. The killings involved particularly cruel, sadistic, and gratuitous savagery seldom seen in the annals of crime, prosecutors said when they called for life sentences. They said Narcy Novack feared that her husband would divorce her and that a prenuptial agreement would bar her from the multi-million-dollar family estate. They said her motives were hatred, greed, and vengeance. The judge said he could find no mitigating factors in Novack's life.